Somebody asked me why the Navy and the Army are friends. Well, I can tell you why. Because I start building all this stuff, and it looks like so far, most of the places I've traveled, it's working pretty good. And some of the other places is kind of working, but I left out, turned around, drove back through again, and working great. So I was like, well, and I drove down there, and they said, we got some of that snow down there. You got water reservoirs and stuff. They catch the water, they got water for the year because, well, I was in Texas. I says, well, they build roads and stuff, make it safe for truckers, stuff like that. It's a work in progress. That's why the sci-fi movie was like The Expanse. So you got to move slow through the checkpoints. See? And we say, well, one person told me, hey, don't use this bathroom unless you're buying something because I have to truck my water in from way, way miles away to get the water there. So like, well, they got stuff where they can get water there like you wouldn't believe. They set up water retention so when the snow melts, it keeps the water. So it's like filling up the water reservoirs. Snow melts, they got water to water the crops, all kinds of stuff. And we're like, wow, well, what's the point of that? Well, once those trees and stuff start growing, and this is like a long-term plan, but once the trees and stuff start growing and you got grass and moss and stuff to hold the humidity down to the dirt so the sun doesn't bake it all out, what's that? The Army Corps of Engineers can make new rivers and streams and design stuff because, well, just like I did, I went up to a place and dug this thing out, and they couldn't believe I got that thing out of there with just a shovel, just a shovel. So they're like, wow, that's amazing. So it's like, well, the Army Corps of Engineers was digging this and digging that, and they're like, well, why do we do that? And I says, well, problem is cooperation, so we got to get every people working together. So I says, well, they could do that, and the Army Corps of Engineers can help design new rivers, lakes, and streams that won't wash out and just be dry again, So they wonder about that. They look at history. You look at Egypt. Remember Egypt? They're trying to figure out how they built the temples and all this other stuff. Well, we're like, well, they moved rivers in Egypt to get water to the crops. The problem back then was they had these crops, and they took all the crops, and the land was no good. Cut all the trees, and the land was no good. So then they had to move the river over to the other place where the land was good so they could get boats up and down the stream and stuff like that. That's the old days. Now we have the technology. Everybody works together. You say, hey, fix this land, put this patch here. Now I might want to throw this in there. That way people understand. When I said checkerboard, I'm really good at playing chess. I want you to understand atmosphere works a certain way, and it really hot, less dense, is more sun rays and particles and radiation, so very thin atmosphere. It's easy for cold air to come down, which helps the snow go there and get it there, and then you get water and stuff, right? Now, with the atmosphere's conditions, you have to have open areas for stuff to come down and go up for natural filtration, for clean air. And you say, what's that? Well, it protect the rainforest. Because before, they used to go down and they cut all these rainforests down, they just clear this whole area. And it's supposed to be splotches, like little checkerboards, here and then here and then here. The reason why, they had time to replant and grow all this stuff. And they say, wait, what do you got for that? And I says, well, if you look at it like this, dry air, right? Cold air comes to the dry air. Hot air goes up. So it keeps the moisture, with the hot air going up, with the moisture, cold air go over a little bit, see? Don't sink down. But the hot air, there's nothing there, is less dense, all spread apart, so the heavier cold air in those areas falls down, just like snow. And I said, well, how you do that? Well, you get an area here and an area there, and the cold air come down, blowing, and it goes through the forest. It gets the humidity in there, and you got the bushes and the trees, Then the forestry tops, when it try to evaporate, keeps the moisture down. So, take basic principle like that, and you think, we got all this technology, how fast do you think we could fix the entire planet? And they go, what a concept. And we go, well, yeah, but we got to get people educated first. You get them going around learning on the road with vacations and stuff about all the different cultures, then they go, oh, it's the Constitution. And Mr. Kirk walked into the courthouse in Titusville and said, does anybody know why the courthouse was built this way? He started talking about atomic particles and air pressure and stuff, and people didn't understand what he said. And he said, hey, how about now? And he says, well, you get people moving around like that. And he said, the Constitution is organic. What's organic? Well, you get people moving around like that, they see all this stuff, and they start having freedom of choice, which is the organic constitution in the mind. And they go, wow, what a concept. Because that's the Constitution of the United States that the founding fathers set down in that village, way up there in Philadelphia. And they called it the Philadelphia Experiment. You want to know the truth? There you go, digital network analysis. It said the Philadelphia Experiment. Who did that? The U.S. Navy. And they said Philadelphia Experiment. So they go on vacations, they go here, Area 51, whatever. They go up to the mountains, they see all that cool stuff and the mountain stuff, the old school stuff with the rustic stuff with the tours and stuff. Then they see this, they see that. Maybe they see a little alien restaurant, just a little one, because alien stuff, Area 51, that's New Mexico, new miracle between two continents, see? And then you go, wait a minute. So we got this, and they go, have you been to Philadelphia? You go up to Philadelphia, they got the Constitution, they got this, they got that, and maybe they have a Navy ship there, in a museum, a smaller version or whatever, and they say, hey, this is the Philadelphia Experiment, we did all the time travel stuff, You do a museum like that. It's easy.